Yes, welcome back to the Knocked Off podcast. I'm sat here with another Fink Chronicles. Sat here with Corey Hammond. How are you, brother?
Yeah, going well, thanks. Couple of days of rain up here, so we're laying low for a bit, recovering. So it's been good. Bit of downtime.
Made a little bit of insight into you. Where'd you grow up, and what was the first race you went to, either spectating or racing?
Uh, Grew up Hawkesbury in New South Wales, like about an hour out of Sydney. Got into a bit of Minicana when we were younger, and I guess that's where we built all the skills and stuff, and met some cool people, and then just got into your motocross, and from there went into off roads when we were probably 9 or 10, and then chased that for up until 2021, and guess that's where we come and gave Fink a crack, and here we are a few years later.
Was it always just the New South Wales off roads, or you'd do the AORC
Yeah, it was
circuit as well?
New South Wales to start with, and then from there we got into the AORCs, and man, I was pretty average back in the day. Like I remember, like the tracks they used to send us on as juniors is nothing like what you see 'em ride these days. There's one round, Dad had to run half the track to find me on the sight lap because I was crying. I didn't want to come down a hill. So to look back now and think of what we're doing, like it's cool to see how far we've come. So
Do you think you found a little bit of a niche in your riding style? It sort of suits the desert side a little bit more rather than the off roads?
I would say I've always been a smooth rider. The off roads definitely taught me a lot, and I think I was very average younger, and then enduros sort of got my skills up, and the tracks we were riding, logs and hills and stuff like that, and then just sort of carried it over into the desert. I'd like to think I'm smooth and good technique, and I wouldn't say I'm exciting to watch. I'm not someone that hangs off it. So yeah, just try and keep things tidy.
What enticed you so much about coming out to the desert? What was what drew you out here?
I think we watched the Fink doco, and then just thought we'll give it a crack, and that was 2021, and come up here and remember just picking Mick Carusi's brain on what tyres to run and gearing, and he helped me out a lot. And I come up on a 250, just done 2 weeks of pre-running before, and remember riding out of that stadium on the first race day, just thinking like, this is the craziest thing I've ever done. But anyone that's done Fink, it's something about it that just draws you back every year. So
How'd you go that first year? What was it like for you?
I think I got to Fink in 40th, so it took me 2 hours 18 to get to Fink, and then unfortunately on the way home, that the spectator incident happened, so we didn't get to race home. But to think I went from 2 hours 18 on that first year and 40th spot, here we are. Last year I got fourth outright, and I think my time was an hour 52 on the way to Fink. So 25 minutes I've shaved off my time. So it's cool to look back.
What do you? What was the biggest factor there? Obviously, you would have jumped up to the 500. Obviously, would have shaved a bit of time off.
Yep.
There, but what else sort of went into?
I think track knowledge is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's just the first 2 years I just come up and just ride A to B, not really thinking or trying to remember stuff. In 2023, I really started working hard on remembering parts of the track, and biggest thing I find works for me is going out and doing 10K sections, and that's the only way I find I remember. Do 30 or 40 Ks a day, and then, you do your thinking back and link it all up. So I'm probably 90% of the track I know now. Like I can watch pretty much any video of someone riding and know where it is. It's
I only sort of started doing that this year. It's amazing how much more info you get in rather than just burning down and doing, 100 and whatever Ks a day down and back. It's amazing how much more you gain of the track and how much more speed you can put into your riding if you just, replicate that 10 Ks over and over again.
Yeah, 100%. There is great benefit in doing your long runs to Fink, and building that fitness. But ultimately, I find what works for me is the, short sections and snap some branches and get your lines and start linking it all up. So that's what works for me.
So how'd you go in 22 when you returned? What was your result that year?
A lot better. I think sneaked it into the top 20 in prologue. I think I was last grid that left in the twos, and got to Fink 10th or 11th on corrected time, and then coming home actually got into the 120 whoops with a bit of dust in front of me, and unfortunately just had an electrical issue with the bike and was stuck out there for a few hours. Still got it home eventually, but I was a couple of hours back. 23, we come back, and that's when we really started knuckling down on learning the track, and went from 17th in prologue, got to Fink in 7th on corrected time, and stayed there on the way home. And
did you have any good battling or anything that year?
Yeah, had made some good passes on the way down. Me and Lukey went at it for a bit there, sort of caught him around just after Bundooma, and finally made the pass on him about the 170 container there. So, that was good. Looked over at each other, and it's good racing with boys like that. There's everything's clean and everyone's safe around each other. So it's but that was a good year. And then last year, sort of caught like I was behind Lukey again. So we sort of seem to find each other out there every year. So it's good.
Yeah. Where did you prologue last year?
8th last year, and then I think I didn't actually pass Lukey, but got him on corrected time, but passed Grabbo around the 160, 170. So
how'd that feel coming up beside him there? Thing like Grabbo.
I spoke to him. He didn't even know I was there, as you do. You don't sort of know anyone's there till they're beside you, but it was in the similar spot to where I passed Lukey. So Grabbo was sort of chopping his lines a bit. So I was on the left, then I jumped to the right, trying to get round him. So that was pretty cool, seeing someone that's won this race multiple times and see how competitive he is at his age now. It's look up to someone like him. So
you find you enjoyed that bottom end a bit more? Is that why you seem to gain a bit of time down there, or?
I find ultimately like I'm pretty fit as the whoops start. I'm sort of always been one as the race goes on. I get stronger. So definitely that bottom end. You sort of got to live down there because no one really does much time down there, and there's so many corners down there and so much time to be made. So I've spent a lot of time down there this year. We done 3 days camping at Easter, so just there's so many corners that all look the same. Just learning as best we can. So
for your fitness, do you spend much time off the bike, or is it sort of you get on the bike and try and gain it there when you're not up here?
For me, still working full time. It's more the on bike that lacks for me. Trying to ride once or twice a week on the weekends, but ultimately I'm in the gym 6 days a week. My alarm goes off at 3 a.m. every morning. I'm in the gym by sort of 10 to 4 and train to 5, then off to work. So I enjoy training anyway, whether I'm racing or not. So I'll always be in the gym, and just over the years I've worked out what areas of the body hurt up here and what bits to target in the gym, and I feel like I've put together a pretty solid program. So
did you find that a bit of a shock the first year you come up, just how all the different muscles seem to get sore, muscles that you don't seem to ever use anywhere else when you're riding a motorcycle?
Oh, 100%. Even now you come up and the steggy burn you get on the back of the calves and the lower back burn, you really can't replicate it anywhere else but up here. So it's just sort of the body conditions the more you ride up here, and you just sort of get used to it.
What do you do for riding when you are home? Is there someone that sort of not replicates it, but a bit of a sandy track or something like that to fit yourself?
It's hard. You don't really get anywhere to train for Fink other than up here, but mainly just motocross for myself when I'm home. It's sort of got a couple tracks within a couple of hours of home, and got a good mate who's racing pretty high level MX Nationals. So I like to chase him around and get him to critique my riding, so try and always be better. So it's good having someone of his speed to chase. Just trying to do as much motocross as I can this year to get some intensity into me riding, because ultimately I've always been one to struggle with prologue, just being able to go out there and throw down a heater. So it's something I'm working on, and hopefully this year can sort of start a bit further up and not have to chew as much dust on the way to Fink.
Did you spend a bit of time this year, prologue practice day, to try and finesse that a little bit?
Yeah, just sort of was one of the last bikes out there, just trying to get on the track when it was ultimately as close as what it's going to be to race day, and remember all your braking points and lines. So, but as you know, once a couple hundred cars go over it, you sort of just got to go where you end up.
What's been your biggest motivation this year leading up?
Ultimately, I'd love to one day do this as a job. So it's just sort of chipping away, and you put in all that work for, I guess, not to do it for anyone, but that pride in yourself at the end. You've given it your best and in the lead up, just done everything you could. So I guess that's that feeling you chase for, being proud of yourself and giving also your sponsors something as well. Like it's all worth it. So.
Do you do much competing other than Fink in the calendar?
Oh, we throw so much into this race that it's mainly just Fink and Hatter at the moment. I want to try and get over to Kalgoorlie at the end of the year. But yeah, we spend sort of 3 or 4 weeks up here pre-running the year, so it takes you away from a lot of other racing. It's just one of them things you sort of commit to it up here and just try and give it your best crack.
Is that a plan you sort of put forward to yourself that you'd try and smash out a lot of time up in the desert? Obviously, a lot of people do the 2 weeks before, but you said off the podcast that you'd obviously come up a few times at the start of the year. Is that something you sort of set a goal to get that time in?
Yeah, I think Fink ultimately rewards hard work. So the more time you spend up here, it's more the track and better you can get the bikes. It's a big commitment, not only from myself, but my dad was always up here. You need someone to drive the ute, and so take him away from his work at home, and mum's sort of got to run the show at home. So it's not just commitment on my end, it's everyone around. So it's the logistics that people don't see up here, and it's a team effort. So it's without everyone in my corner, it just wouldn't be possible. So
yeah, it's funny how Fink seems to be the only race in the calendar where you put all this time and effort into to spend less time on the track, pretty much to get down there.
Yeah, literally.
To spend less time out there, really.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not place where you can just go, I'm going to go out to Fink for the weekend. It's a 27-hour drive from where we are. It's a big drive for anyone. So when you're up here for a week at a time, and yeah, it's just after a couple of days riding, you sort of need a day off as well. Like it's that brutal. Yeah. So,
what do you think the biggest lesson you've learnt is being up here now a couple of years?
Ultimately, like being organised. You need to sort of prepare for the worst, have wheels at every fuel stop, and stuff like that. And I guess big believer in the harder you work, the luckier you get. I think obviously when Fink goes to plan, it's cool, but I've also been sitting on the side of the track one year, like with a bike problem, but it's something you can't control. So you just got to, everything you can control, make sure it's all 100% and ready to go, and I guess the result will come. So
going through to Hattah, you competed last year. How'd that go for you?
Yeah, I've done Hattah every year since 2011.
Oh, right.
So that's another race I don't like to miss. I think, as I got better towards the end of my junior career, I got a second outright there my last year in juniors, and then in seniors sort of didn't go that great the first few years, but as I started, being a lot more dedicated and stuff like that, the last few years I've snagged a couple top tens, which I think to be able to top 10 at Fink and top 10 at Hattah is pretty cool. Like they're two totally different races. It sort of just means you're a very all-round rider, I guess. It's another cool feeling putting it in the top 10 down there, and yeah.
Is there something that you notice that you do a lot different for preparation for Fink rather than Hattah?
Hattah almost feels like a holiday, hey? Like you go down there and you just cruise around for the week, bit of suspension testing, and it's not like Fink where you're up at the crack of dawn and you go down to Fink and you get home late and you're doing an oil change. So I think Fink's a lot more scary in the aspect of the speeds we're doing, and like if you hit the ground up here, it's probably you go in a hospital. But I find Hattah is a bit more fitness and strategy, fuel strategy, and yeah, it's just sort of at the end of that 4 hours, there's a lot more fitness involved, and who can hurt the most, I guess.
What's more rewarding for you to cross the finish line in?
I think they're both rewarding in their own respect. To be honest, I was a bit more pleased with my 8th at Hattah last year than my 4th at Fink. I just think Hattah last year, the field was stacked. We had a couple of dudes come over from America and some really fast Aussie guys. So I think, to put it in the top 10 last year as a bit of like a privateer myself, it was a cool achievement. So
do you find it's the nature of the track maybe that makes for a bit more tighter racing and stuff like that, whereas Fink you up here, a lot more dustier, sketchier. If you get sort of caught behind someone, it's harder to pass, right? Whereas Hattah, it's sort of if you're on someone, you can go back and forth a little bit?
Yeah, I find Hatter's probably a bit more of an even playing field because no one gets to ride the track until race day, where I think it's the more time you spend up here, the bigger the advantage. So, yeah, Hatter's cool in that aspect, like it's, you can sort of yo-yo a bit with someone if you're similar speed, and you might have a bigger tank, so the fuel strategy comes into it, and you can, make some passes there. So, and then obviously at the end of the 4 hours, you can see who's been training hard in the gym and stuff like that. So
you're talking about being a private teammate. How do you find trying to balance your work with your race life? Obviously, you're spending a bit of time up here. How do you sort of deal with that?
Oh, look, it's hard, but it is what it is. It's no one's forcing me to do it, so you just got to be organised, and a lot of phone calls at work and stuff like that, and just sort of organising time off work to come up here. It's the things that people don't see, working out how many tyres you need and mooses, sticker kits, accommodation, booking time off work, and it's hard rather than having a lot of it organised for you. But yeah, it's just keep chipping away, I guess, and see how we go.
Did you feel pretty, I guess, honoured would be the best way to put it, being up as far as you were last year, being a privateer?
Yeah, it's cool. It's just sort of, it's the icing on the cake for all the hard work you put in, and it's always nicer if you can be in front of a few dudes that get a bit more help. So yeah, it's cool.
Shine a bit of light on on
Yeah,
your ability.
yeah, that's it. So just keep chipping away, and good things will happen.
Have you had anyone sort of reach out or anything like that seriously for a race spot or anything like that?
Nothing yet. It's just sort of got some really good personal sponsors on board, and I think, it's just I'm in a really unique position where I can pick and choose what brands I want to use, and everything that I use I know works. So I'm not sort of locked into particular brands and stuff like that. So it's cool, So
do you find it a little bit challenging trying to organise all that sort of stuff yourself to try and get the funds and organise all the parts and everything yourself to try and get up here for as long as you do every year?
Yeah, it's hard. Like, it's think alone. Well, I reckon rough figures, it's probably a 60-70 grand race. But it's no one's forcing us to do it. I don't drink, I don't party, so it's what else am I going to spend my money on? So it's cool. But like I said before, it's just being organised, having a big list, and just checking through that list as you go. So it comes around quick, but it's January. You're like, I better start getting organised, and before you know it, you're a couple of weeks out from leaving for pre-running.
The no drinking and the no partying, mate, is that something you've never done, or is that sort of a bit of a change of pace you had for a bit of racing commitment, or what is it?
I wouldn't say I was ever a big drinker or partier. It's sort of, you turn 18 and you do a bit of it, but I reckon 2022 when I turned 21, I had a massive sort of mindset switch and just sort of went all in, and just that's when I started being in the gym every day. And it's that sort of, I call it like the invisible progress, it's the stuff that you don't see every day, but it compounds, and before you know it, I used to dream of being in the top 10 at Fink and Hatter, and I look back now and I'm like, well, I'm that guy, I'm in the position now where I dreamed of being a few years ago. So I think, if you're drinking and partying, if you got big dreams, sort of isn't probably something that's going to help you get there. So that's just how I find it. I'm pretty committed and motivated. So
do you find that's something that motivates you a lot, is sort of keeping that in the back pocket, that you put in all this hard work and striving to keep doing it?
Yeah, that's it. It's just sort of, we're at that level now where everyone's sort of similar speed, so it's the little things like the working on the mental side of things and stuff like that, all the little 1%ers and trying to get that edge. So it's cool to look back and, see 40th and 10th and 7th and 4th, I'm on the right progress, so we're getting there.
I found it, I don't drink for the 6 months leading up. I'm a bit different. I enjoy a few
that's
presentation night, but it is one of them things. I always find it's a mental thing I spoke about it with Luke as well, but when you're on the line, sitting beside someone, I always think that maybe, oh mate, he's been enjoying the beers while this time I've been training. Is it something that you sort of keep in the back of your mind as well, that you hope that the work you've been putting in is better than anyone else?
Oh, 100%. I know, the things I do, a lot of people probably aren't doing. So it's just using all that as banking on a bit of confidence and stuff like that. Little things like, cold showers every night. It's just as brutal as they are up here, you know, standing in a little cabin under a cold shower, but it's just all stuff that works for me. So whatever you can, I guess, to build that confidence. And confidence doesn't come from, you know, just shouting it in the mirror. It's building that stack of proof that, you know, you are who you say you are by all the things you do. So,
mate, you come up here, you're busting your balls. Who's your biggest help when you're up here trying to get it all done?
Definitely my parents. You know, like without them, always growing up, I look back now and just think, like, you know, you had a race bike and a practice bike as a kid, and Dad would get home, he worked nights and load the van up and drive you a couple of hours, and wouldn't say we were rich, but, you know, always whatever I needed, it was there, and new gear, always had what I needed to be successful. And I think sort of got to a point where it's just, once I realised the only thing holding me back from getting anywhere was myself, it's just, you know, you sort of, it's all on me now. I've got everything I need in my corner, all the people I need, and it's just up to me. So, yeah, my parents definitely. And then with that, like the personal sponsors, that's where all the help is, I guess. It's cool to get your set of gear here and there, but it's the people that are actually throwing money at you that goes towards like all the bills that have got to be paid up here. So that's what helps.
Do you find that's another motivating thing, mate, having all these people in your corner and, you know, you're trying to do your best for them as well?
Oh, definitely. Like it's their hard-earned money in their business, you know. Like they probably could have put it elsewhere, but they've just chosen to put it into me. So I don't want to, you know, be a slouch. I want to do the best I can and try and give them a good result. So,
mate, going down the track this year on race day, what'll be the part of the track you enjoy the most and the part you enjoy the least?
Oh, definitely that first 60 Ks out of town's probably the most brutal, you know. You try not to pump up and it's just hectic. There's people everywhere and you just sort of, I think once we get into the big whoops, I know my bike's good down there in the big whoops. I know I'm fit and, you know, my technique's good. So once I guess you leave that fuel stop, you know, that's when the race starts. So I look at it, so it's just survival till there and hopefully everything's going good.
Have you had, obviously you want to be up the pointy end in prologue. Have you had to battle or do anything in that first sort of 60, 70 Ks in previous years?
I had to make a pass early last year and I've made passes that first 60 previously, but most of my passing sort of, I've started reeling people in down in the whoops, you know, when you got that 20 or 30 Ks of whoops non-stop, that's where I find I can sort of start to make up some time. But, yeah, Liam, Callum, Hazy, there's a few this year that are going to be hard to beat, so I need to get a good prologue and go from there. Just sort of focus on my own race and the result is what it is at the end. What's the goal going to be then for, I think, 2025, mate? Oh, you always want to do better than what you've done the year before, and now that Walshy's announced his retirement, I guess it opens it up for a few others, and I guess Callum's probably the next favourite, so I just want to do better than what I did last year and hopefully somewhere on that podium. Does Walshy's retirement light a little bit more of a fire under your arse, mate? Or? Oh, I guess, yeah, just sort of, he's obviously, you know, the king of the desert for a reason, so I guess it just brings bit of opportunity for some of us young kids coming through to maybe go for the win there, whether it's this year, next year, see what happens. When you were watching or thinking about coming up in 2021, would there have been any part of you then thinking that you'd be, you know, having the realistic goal of getting on the podium up here? No way, yeah. I just remember riding to Fink on that first day and just seeing dudes come flying past me in the dust, just like, how are you even seeing anything? And it's just like, I guess you learn the track, and yeah, that's something I do, you know. If you know the track, you're willing to take that risk in the dust. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool to look back and think how far we've come. Spending all that time and you know, changing what you've done, do you think that sort of, you know, just motivates you a lot getting down there? Like, you know, putting all this time in really changes, obviously, from where you were in 21 to how you are now? Yeah, I just think every year you sort of get a bit better out there and just want to, keep chipping away and hopefully have a good run. So, being that dude that was getting passed by them in 21, I suppose, you know, you watch them dudes fly past and you think they're mad. Have you ever had any proper scary moments or, you know, any hairy parts? So you've sort of pulled up and thought, fuck, that was a bit
bit scary.
Oh, you have so many moments. For me, they all sort of come on day one because I'm trying to make so many passes. You get into think, and the next morning before you come home, you're sitting there, you a couple of hours before you leave, and you're just thinking about everything, all the moments you had from the day before. So you just get me home safe. So,
is there any that spring to mind, mate? That's been a proper.
Oh, biggest one probably is 23 when I went from 17th to 7th. I got into the Gow grabbers down there.
Yeah,
Past
oak trees.
the Honda camp, sort of that straight before was catching, I think it was Sam Handley. And I got up right behind him on that straight full of Gow grabbers and went to the right. And I don't know if I hit like the edge of a whoop, but I just remember it kicked me hard right as I was past him, and how I didn't clean the both of us up. Like the rear stepped out that big, and we got into Fink, and he goes like, holy shit, that was huge, that moment you had next to me. So that's probably the biggest one I remember. So
I remember coming through there in 23, and obviously they were, big pre-running and stuff like that. And oh man, sort of, watch them when you're coming through the race. Don't forget about them. And I remember coming through there, and there just been like trees and shit just all over the track, either from buggies or bikes, just like branches and shit all over the track. Hey, like they're just nasty, and they just seem to creep up.
Yeah, I've seen a few Finks, and they're pre-running for people, and it nearly caught me out in 2022. Like the straight before it used to be quite smooth, and I just remember coming in, no idea where I was on the track, just full bicky, and they just get big out of nowhere. So yeah, from there I just learnt that's where they are.
I think it was last year I come up, and there was another fellow I was doing a bit of pre-running with, and there was a bike pulled up at our fuel stop. I thought it was him, pulled up just pre-running. There was some other dude, and he had no front numplate on. And he was like, I'm just waiting for a mate. And then he said, you have a bit of a buster, mate, you reckon? There's a big set of whoops, hey. You come into them, they catch you by surprise. I'm trying to remember where they were. I said, you still got, this is like at the 150. I said, you still got about 30 Ks of track before
you hadn't even hit them yet.
You knew exactly it was the ones at oak trees. And
you knew, as you come through Alice Creek, they're coming soon.
Yeah.
So,
and they had him. Oh, mate, this poor guy, he was petrified.
PTSD, yeah. I don't blame him. So,
mate, what before 2021, had you watched much of the Fink Desert Race, or was it all sort of new to you then?
From memory, no. Like I just remember seeing that video, and it was just a bit of a spur in the moment. Like, let's do it. So it was quite late actually. Like I busted my finger at a state round enduro, I think 4 weeks before, and it's funny looking back. Had to get surgery, and I went to the medics at the track, and I didn't realise, but they'd flagged my MA licence, because you've gone and seen a medic at the race. And I remember Mum saying, you can't race, like they've canned your licence at the minute. And the surgeon that operated on me, I had to get it plated and screwed, whatever. And he goes, I'm not signing you off for 6 weeks. And I remember trying to beg him, and he wouldn't, and I think was 3 weeks away. So I remember the next night when I got out of hospital, I drove around to about 3 different GPs trying to get a medical clearance anyway. I don't know if I should say it, but found this dodgy doctor in near home at Penrith, and gave him a bit of coin, and he signed me off. I just said that I'd jammed it in a door, and he gave me everything I needed to get signed off. And a few days later, we're on the road up to Fink. So yeah, it's looking back, like it was just a bit of a last minute thing, couple months out, just sort of bit the bullet and had no idea what we're in for, like looking back now, you're just running standard stegs and stuff like that. So just the things I've learned over the years from different people and different experiences. So
how'd you go hanging on with the busted finger?
It was all right. I sort of can't straighten it now, I don't think, because I rode so quick, but that's all right. It's sort of in the bend for the bars anyway, so it's good. So,
mate, are you a superstitious guy?
I wouldn't say I'm superstitious. I definitely, some people probably notice I do this thing with my goggles when I put them on and, play with them a bit. So other than that, not really. I don't have a certain pair of undies or, left side, right side. I'm pretty simple. So just do the old pre-race checks, make sure the side stands up and stuff like that. So,
mate, a rider you looked up to growing up, obviously you raced from a young age. Is there someone, even a local guy maybe, that you hung around that sort of you liked? Or
I think ultimately Toby was pretty cool as a kid growing up, and he's a sponsor's dream, I guess. He's just a super nice, chill guy. I just remember at some of the off-roads years ago, it might have even been the Australian 4-day back in the day. He's just finished a day race, and here he is on his mountain bike doing wheelies with the kids up and down the pitch, and then, people like Ben Grabham and up here, David Walsh, you sort of always look up to the guys that are being the best at what they do. So, yeah, there's a couple, Toby, Grabbo, there's probably many more, but they're off the top of my head.
Did you always keep a keen eye on them more so from Hadar and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. I guess Toby sort of done everything back in the day. He done off-road, Hadar, Fink. Now he's, Dakar and whatnot. So it's cool to look at the path he's gone on and the brand he's built around himself.
Is that something sort of the path that he's followed, mate, that you'd enjoy to do yourself?
Oh, ultimately, yeah. For me, the goal is Dakar one day. I think that's something you could probably make a living off, but just sort of see where it takes me, I guess, but just keep working hard.
Is there anything like the Baja or anything that interests you like that as well?
Yeah, I'd love to get over there as well. So it's just obviously the logistics of it is similar to Fink, just on the other side of the world. So hopefully I can get a good result this year and maybe start reaching out to some teams. As much as I love Baja, I've never actually really dived into it too much. Yep. I don't follow it like I do Dakar, so I don't know a whole lot about it, but I still think it's pretty cool.
With Dakar, have you dabbled in any of the roadbook sort of stuff, mate, or is it something that just bit of a pipe dream you look down?
I think it's just the pipe dream at the moment. It's just, I guess we'd have to start with some rallies over here, but comes back to a lot of it is how big's your wallet as well. Yep. So I didn't even realise how expensive the Dakar entry is until like a year or two ago.
30 grand or something?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. So I heard through someone it's like 100 grand race, yep. like just to get over there. So it's probably even more, but I mean, we spend that here anyway.
Well, I'll throw a name out. Chucky, when Chucky was in town, he was obviously hanging around Grabbo a bit, so I learned a bit off him, and he was telling us that the safety side of things, if you come off your bike and don't press a button on the handlebars or something like that, it's 8 minutes or something crazy like that, and a chopper will be there.
Really? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
To pick you up.
Yeah, no one will know no matter where you are out there within 10 minutes.
Obviously why the price of it is
right.
so high to cover all those sort of costs, I guess. But
Yep. So, yeah, one day, hopefully, we're over there. So,
what intrigues you so much about that?
I guess just that style of riding. I don't ever think I'm necessarily going to be the fastest raw speed guy. Like, I've never been that one, but I think more Dakar it's such a long race, like mentally and physically, and like the whole side of the road book and that. You just have to be the smartest and the smoothest. It's not, who's quickest A to B. It's all those other aspects that come into it as well. So I guess that's what interests me. So,
is that something in your riding that you've always been proud of? Is your endurance, your fitness, and smarts while riding?
Yeah, definitely. I just need to work on the sprint speed now because it sort of lets me down. So it cost me big time last year up here. So hopefully this year, the little bit of motocross I've been doing back home and done a few more races, it'll pay off. So,
yeah. Do you find that? Do you in yourself feel like you've changed that in the last 12 months?
Definitely, yeah. I've been working hard on it, so I guess next weekend will be the ultimate telling factor. So see how we go.
Mate, it's raining at the minute. What are you going to change up if we get a bit more of it before race day?
It's hard because we're already up here, so we're stuck with the tyres we got. I guess you just got to prep, make sure the radiators aren't going to clog up, and I don't even think you'd be able to run roll-offs out here the speed we do. They just sort of rip straight off. So a couple rags in the pants and I guess just bulldog our way through the race and see what happens.
Is it something that you feel like you'll have a bit of an advantage of coming from, being down in New South over a few of maybe the local guys or the guys that are a lot more desert inclined to maybe ride in the wet a bit more?
That's it, yeah. One of the local tracks we got at home is always a mudder first thing in the morning. So I've this year been trying to go out there first bike and cut the lines in, and it trashes your bike, but it's taught me how to ride mud a lot better and just relax. So hopefully we don't get too much more rain before next weekend, but I guess we can't control the weather. So,
mate, shit, I was going to ask you a question. It's just completely slipped out.
That's right.
Why do you think you keep coming back here?
Oh, there's something about this place when it all goes well that it's the work and the time you spend up here. It's so rewarding, and I guess the people up here as well. Like everyone wants to help you. So
Do you find that that's a big difference between Hattah and Fink?
I find Hattah's similar. Like I feel like to me now, like the race I look forward to every year is Fink. I don't know if it's because that's the first one on the calendar for me, but it's kind of good because we finish Fink and you're like, oh shit, Hattah's in 3 weeks. You don't have a whole lot of time to think about Hattah, but I guess there's so much build up around Fink, and same as Hattah, but I guess the easiest way to explain it's like the Bathurst of dirt bikes, you know, like it's once a year, so, and that's the problem when it doesn't go right. You gotta wait a whole year. Yeah. So when it does go right, it's pretty cool. So
yeah, but did you find that surprising when you come up here, just how helpful everyone is? I suppose coming from the off road scene, everyone's pretty tight-lipped about what they're doing and bike setup and everything like that.
Definitely, everyone up here wants to help, and even us boys racing. You know, I don't feel like there's any rivalries or stuff like that. We all accept once the helmet goes on, we're there to try and get the best result. But everyone's pretty friendly on the start line, few laughs and whatnot.
Yeah, do you sort of find everyone seems like they're back their ability and their skill to pip their competition rather than a technicality?
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone's sort of, we're all skilled riders and whatnot, and the people that come up here and cause dramas, I think over the years they sort themselves out pretty quick. They come in and disappear. So the ones that last, normally the good ones and well respected by everyone.
Yeah, there has been a few of them off the top of their head that have sort of come in and
definitely
blown in and blown out.
Yeah, burn some like seagulls, come in, shit on everyone and piss off. So yeah, there's been a few bridges burnt by a few people over the years. So
mate, you were talking about already coming back next year. Is Fink just something on your calendar that's going to keep popping up and until you've had enough of it, sort of thing?
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully this race keeps going. I know there was a bit of talk for a while there that it might have been in a bit of trouble, but next year's the 50th, so I think it'll be the biggest one I've been a part of. Yep. So hopefully the race keeps growing from there.
Yeah, I think it's something that's sort of, you know, people just talk the talk for whatever reason. It's, as you said, it only comes around once a year, so people sort of make waves about it. You know, when the race is not on, I think something that's just going to keep pushing. And
hopefully, because obviously the town like thrives off it, and it's not only the town, it's all the servos and that. Like coming up from South Oz, like they all rely on it too. Like everyone buying fuel and accommodation, so it's like the whole, like everything revolves around Fink, I guess. So.
Is Mildura the same with Hattah? I've only sort of been there once as a junior, so it's a bit.
Yeah, it pumps as well the week before, all the trailers and bikes getting around. So that's like another big thing for Mildura as well. So same thing, it's once a year, bit of build up.
Where do you enjoy being more? Like obviously the track and stuff's different. Do you enjoy your time a bit more when you're in Mildura? It's a bit more low key and not as hectic.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more laid back down there, and I guess probably a bit more spectator friendly there as well. Like because we're going around a track, you know, Mum and Dad actually get to see me rail. I suppose they're stuck in the pits, fueling up, but it's cool because the spectators are right there as well. So. But even up here, the further you go to Fink, the closer everyone is to the track. So it is pretty cool.
Mate, how do you feel? Come in, do you have your own fuel crew? Do you organise yourself, or do you team up with someone else? How do you organise that?
There's another guy, Wilco, back at where we stay in town. He's got his sort of boys and been lucky enough to jump in with them, and I don't know, I can confidently say I've got the fastest pit crew in the desert. So we've got videos and they're pretty onto it, the boys. And the boys at the 80 and the 160 compare their times. So there's a bit of rivalry going on between them. So I'm pretty lucky. So
does that fill you full of confidence as well, knowing that they're going to be on their game every time you?
Oh, yeah, they're unreal. So, yeah, they love it. So very lucky like that. And knowing you're coming into a pit stop and everyone's organised. I've seen a lot of videos over the years. It's just shit going everywhere, and obviously for me, I'm trying to be relaxed when I come in as well. It doesn't help when the rider comes in full noise on limiter, like yelling at everyone. So they do their job, and you know I get out of their way. So that's good. Very lucky.
What's your biggest change, mate, from last year to this year? You think?
Pretty similar package, I guess, just every year, like mentally just trying to get better and you're learning the track a bit more. So just those couple things, just sort of using that, I guess. Other than that, still got the same pit crew and same bike as last year. So just, just see how we go. Pretty keen to get into it now.
Mate, I got one more question here for you. Mate, do you listen to much music or anything before you get on the bike?
Oh, not really. I sort of just like to, I guess you'd say, self-motivate, same as in the gym. Not really one to walk around with earphones and that in. So I think, like, if you need that stuff to train, like, what are you going to do when it's not there? So
Demons in the head are enough to inspire you.
yeah, that's it. So I just, it's funny, like, back in the gym, you know, I got a couple of boys we train with, so I like sort of seeing everyone hurting and see who wants it the most. So I don't know. I reckon a few people think I'm a bit of a psycho in the gym, but I sort of try and carry that over to me racing and just sort of self-motivate, I guess, and just know that all the work I've put in, probably as long as it pays off, and have a good run. So, but when I do listen to music, I guess it's just a bit of old school crusty music and stuff like that, not into the rap. So like
it's funny, Hazy said the exact same thing. He was talking about the old MX versus ATV Unleashed days as well, and the old crusty stuff.
Yeah. I'm a big podcast guy too, so I like throwing a podcast in and anything moto related, or you know, like your Joe Rogans and stuff like that. Anything mindset related, I sort of enjoy listening to.
Yeah, mate. You said you're off the beers, don't party.
Yeah.
If you get on the partying, will you be popping a bit of champagne or enjoying a beer or something after the race?
Probably not, because we've got to drive 27 hours home on the Tuesday, so probably not. I've already asked Wilco the other day. I said we might have to find a spot for a bit of a burnout pad, but we've got to get there first, see what the result is at the end of the weekend, and go from there. Show me face at Prezzo, but yeah, just be sipping on a few Cokes and some waters. So that's about it.
No, mate, I think with everything you're doing and all the work you're putting in, I think it won't be any surprise at all if you're up on one of them boxes, mate. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if you stand on the top one.
Thank you. So I just sort of worry about my own race, and I guess the result will come. So just sort of keep chipping away. Good things happen. So how about yourself? How are you feeling?
I'm right. Obviously, the rain's dicked me around a little bit. I would have liked to get a bit of time earlier this week and just sort of coast into the race, but it's going to be the other way around and, smash it out over the weekend. And
it's pretty hectic always too, the week before the race.
Especially on the weekend when you get everyone coming in, plus the locals, they have their weekend off work, so they're trying to get down there for their last sort of run.
Yeah, all the car guys are out there in their four-wheel drive. It's like friggin' Afghanistan out there.
Yeah.
So
but I suppose with the rain, it is a little bit of a help.
Yep.
In that same regard, that the dust will be a bit down, so at least you'll be able to lay eyes on the track and not get stuck behind anyone else. But then I suppose it also falls into that same category of you're riding along, there's a puddle, and some idiot flies past you and fills you in. And
yeah.
Happened a couple of years ago whenever it rained, that bit of a stretch coming up to the tanks at Bundooma there, and I sort of backed off, and it was a fast dude. And he just come through on the back wheel and fucking filled me in.
We're going to drop names?
I believe it was Smithy, Jacob Smith.
Oh, was it? Yeah, righto.
Which, I mean, it was 50-50 blame, probably more in my quarter. Probably should have just stayed on the gas a bit more and powered through it like he did.
Yeah.
He was obviously way more committed than what I was.
That's it. He's a cool dude, Smitty. I'm sure there was no intent there.
No. I was pulling up at Bundooma anyway, so I pulled up there and ripped the goggles off and had the jersey out of it and got over it.
So just another tale to tell.
Mate, what's your approach coming up to stuff like that on race day? If there's a big mud hole or something, are you a bit more cautious, or you one of them dudes that'll get on the back fender? And
I guess you're coming up to shit so quick, you sort of don't really have time to think. It's just that split-second decision. But mainly all the puddles will just be through that, 80 to Black Gate section, like that 20 or 30 Ks. I think that's where a lot of the puddles sit. So from what I've seen over the years, you sort of just got to stay on the edges. The puddles seem to sit in the middle.
Yeah, cars seem to blow them out.
Yeah, the cars definitely help blowing it all out. But depending on how much they got down the track, I think washouts are going to be a big problem as well. So I guess we've sort of got a week and a half to figure it out and have a bit of a look. And just, I guess, the sand as well on race day. The buggies seem to dig the moisture out. So what I've found the last few years, because we have had rain, is it's quite grabby on the bike and very unpredictable. Like when it's dry, you know the bike's going to stay straight and have the odd
kick.
I
found that last year, especially come up to the top of a few of them dunes and sort of just blipping the throttle a bit more, and all of a sudden you're hanging out sideways rather than just getting down the other side of it.
Yeah, it grabs you. And I found last year as well, I don't know if it was the moisture, but a lot of the backside of dunes, mainly coming home, that I thought always get gnarly. Like I could have hit a lot quicker. Like by the time I'd come over them to be cautious, I was like I could have hit that a lot quicker, but it was too late. Like the cars actually rolled them off really nice. I think it was the moisture. So
yeah, I found a lot of them flowy corners where it was sort of two-wheel tracks and they're going left to right.
Yep.
The insides of them were nasty. Obviously, just that inside wheel of the car was grabbing so much and packing it in and flogging it out. So
yeah.
It's getting to the point where I was sort of jumping outside to outside just to miss that a little bit. Is that sort of what is your approach, just to sort of try and hit them and put up with the rough shit and go a bit faster?
Oh, you're spot on there at the outsides. What I've learned over the years is the outside rut's always the better one, because there's something about that inside, like you said, must be the wheels, the way it's spinning, but they always seem to get the big square edges and whatnot. And even any big tree where there's a shadow, I find it must be the car guys, they back off and get back on the throttle, so that wherever there's a big tree and a whoop, normally there's a big hole sitting there somewhere as well. So
yeah, my theory with that is that the track can't push any further wider.
Yep.
Does that make, same thing, you get to a tree and you're like, why is this, the whoops are so much bigger.
Yep.
But I've always thought once a track deteriorates or starts getting bigger there's no option for you to bounce off the track, just that more of a wheel length, and I don't know whether that might be a contributing factor.
Yeah, it could be it. I've never really thought about it in that way. So, but I guess that's why we pre-run. You know your lines and where to be on the track. But obviously once the cars go over it, sometimes you sort of, with the two-wheel ruts, you're stuck in a line and you just hope it's the right line.
Speaking of trees, you had a bit of a mishap with one last year, yeah?
Yeah, I did actually. Redinga there was a bit of a long straight and then a right, and I don't know if the sweep car knocked it down or he didn't bother to stop, but I come around the corner and just obviously didn't see it because it just ripped my foot off the peg, and I thought, oh, shit, that's sore, and got to think, and I knew there was something in the inside of my boot, and got there and it went through the inner boot as well, and I had a hole in my sock and a little piercing on the skin. Like, I got so lucky, so I swear by Tech 10 boots.
Did you look down when it happened to sort of lay eyes on it, or you could just sort of feel something in your boot?
It was, I knew there was something in there. That I didn't have like a long stick hanging out, like it snapped. But it was, I could feel something in there the whole way to think, because trying to grip the bike, like my foot was a bit further out, and when I went to pull my boot off at Fink, like, yeah, we really had to open it up to get it off, so I got very lucky. So,
did you run the same set of boots back, or you had a spare set there?
Yeah, I did. Privateer things, just had to make it work and whatnot. So, and then I plugged the hole up with a bit of silicone before Hatter and ran them again. So they're still going strong.
Did it affect you at all on the way home? You didn't really notice it?
Nah, not at all. So it was just a little hole in the front of the boots. Probably would have been a different story if it went into the leg, but yeah, got super lucky. So just freak things like that can happen, a tree down or a rock that's been dug up. So yeah, there's a lot of contributing factors like that out here that can sort of end your race.
Is that probably one of the biggest near misses you've had, you reckon?
Yeah, definitely. Other than your scares of the bike, stepping out, whatnot. But I'm lucky. I'm in good hands up here with GDR. So what he can do to a bike to get it handling good is pretty crazy to think, like the shit we're hitting down that track at the speeds we are. So it's pretty wild. Yeah,
it's funny. A lot of people just talk about it, how it doesn't make sense how the bikes operate, and I'm not that mechanically minded, so I'm just if it's working, I'm going to leave it the way,
exactly.
It is. Eh?
You watch like Jaden's slow-mo videos, and it's just crazy how good he can get it to work. So.
And still come through a big set of whoops, and it's going slow, but somehow it's all coming together. Eh?
Yeah. I think that's probably the biggest piece of the puzzle up here, is having a good suspension under you, and trusting it too. So
did you throw GDR in 21, or would you run something else?
I did, yeah, because that was first thing Carusi recommended to me. It was GDR, and I remember ringing Greeny, just telling him I'm coming up to Fink on a 250, and Greeny's one of them guys. If you're good to him, he gives you a lot of his time, and he's been great to me over the years. He's helped me out a lot, and owe a lot of it to him. Standing around in his shed late at night and just chatting to him. He's full of knowledge, and he's willing to pass it on because he goes no point him taking it with him. So he's been a massive help.
Do you think he's probably been the biggest help for you race, the actual track?
Yeah, definitely. Like he's helped out a lot. So even just getting him down the track and the way he can watch a bike, and it's good, but having that reassurance from him that he's happy with it as well. So yeah, and the little insights he drops here and there, like it's good to have those people in your corner.
Was suspension and stuff like that something you spent a lot of time on before you got up here, or is it something you didn't worry about all that much?
I think I've always been just a set and forget type of guy. It's hard enough setting the sags.
Yep.
I think up here's taught me a lot about what you can do with a bike. So it helps down home, like just playing with sag and what little things do. So Greeny's not afraid to throw like the rule book, I guess, of what certain things of suspension are meant to do. Like, it's just throw the tape measure away some days and just keep wind and sag on, and just if it feels good, run it. So,
oh, cool. Righto, mate. Well, thanks for coming on. I can imagine you'll have a great run. Hopefully, nothing goes out of shape. It's one of them things. As you said, mate, I'm a big believer in the harder you work, the luckier you'll get.
Yep.
And obviously, all them 3 a.m. starts. It's sort of play in the back of your mind and give you that little stretch of confidence before you line up, mate. I think that'll go a long way for you this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. And it's the first time doing something like this. Sorry if it's a hard listen for anyone, but it's been good. Good luck to you as well, I'm sure.
Do you want to throw a bit of shade at Liam Walsh or Callum Norton or something? Let them know you're coming.
Nah, just sort of let me ride and do the talking, hopefully. So I like to just sort of lay low and not be cocky or anything like that. So
let you ride and do the talking.
Hopefully, yes. I know, like, we've been working hard and got all the good people around me, so I'm confident and happy. So, but the desert has its own plans sometimes. It's a wild place out there. So.
Yeah, it's funny. It's the desert. No matter what, always seems to get the win.
Yeah, it does. It has its own plans, and you got to respect the desert because it can go wrong very quick out there. Yeah,
it's a lot of people you talk to. They might just be talking about something. I don't know about you, but I'm sitting there. It's just might be some old Joe Blow down the track, and the way they're talking, you're just thinking you don't have enough respect for this track or this race.
Yeah, you haven't had a big enough scare down there yet to think how quick it can go wrong. Yeah, and when it goes wrong, it goes wrong. So.
And there's so many people like that, and you listen to them, and then sure enough, which you don't wish on anyone, but you'll hear a bit of a story that old mate had a bingle, or his bike blew up, or this or that, and it's just the way I heard him talking about bike set up the other day, or about the track, or about this or about that, it comes as no surprise. So I think that's the biggest thing you learn up here pretty quickly is that
you got to respect the desert. It has its own plan, and I guess as long as you just control everything you can control on the bike and your prep, then the rest is sort of up to the desert.
It sort of doesn't burn away as much either if you put all that hard work in and something goes wrong, does it? It's just sort of to me, I see it as it's not meant to be. Everything happens for a reason type of thing.
That's right. It's more just the frustration and the pain of having to wait a whole year again, and the money and that you put into it. But
I think that's what brings everyone back every year, mate. Is that 12-month break where you just you don't have to wait 3 months and we'll have another crack at the next round or whatever it is. It's it's do it now or let it burn away for 12 months and go again.
And there's so much build up and anticipation around it. So, and literally this next week and a half will go so quick. Before you know it, we're prologuing, and then you blink and you're at Prezzo's. And then you're like, oh, well, that's it for another year. So you're pretty keen to get home normally after so much build up. So, but it's should be good, and I'm sure I'll see you down there at Fink and at Prezzo's. So.
You'll definitely see me there, mate. Don't worry about that.
So, thanks for having me on.
Appreciate it, mate. Thank you.
Sweet. Cheers.